Hey everybody, holy mo, there's already two of you. That's awesome. I love it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Welcome to Live at 6:45 with the not technically perfect. Formerly there is no self-destruct button. We're gonna come back to that one a little bit. But to err is human. Yes. So priest and a cab driver. I'll tie this in. Priest and a cab driver go and play golf, and the priest takes a shot, nothing great, nothing bad. And the cab driver takes a shot, hooks horribly, goes, "God damn it, I missed!" And the priest goes on, you know, he lets off, man. "No, man, you can't say that. It's sacrilege. The Lord will smite thee," and goes on and on, goes off on him. Doesn't this happen every single hole, right up until the ninth, right, where the priest takes a shot, nothing great, nothing bad. Cab driver takes a shot, hooks horribly, and before he can open his mouth, the sky turns pitch black. And wham, there's some lightning comes down. There's the priest dead on the ground. And from the sky you hear, "God damn it, I missed." The reason I say this joke, or I tell you this joke, is because there's this crazy misnomer that technology's got it perfectly figured out, right? That technology is right. The joke is, not to explain the joke, but, God doesn't make mistakes. Well, humans do. And technology isn't perfect. Technology is not perfect. Technology is made by humans. So guess what? It ain't perfect. So let's talk a little more about this, shall we? All right. There's a term I'm going to start using more and more, and I want to cover it just now, just to kind of, set the ground rule, set something up here that we're going to use in future. And it's a term called layers of abstraction. Now, I've mentioned before, if you guys have been tuning in, that I'm very much a fan of Occam's razor. When one hears the sound of hooves, think horses, not zebras, and certainly not unicorns. Don't get me wrong, nothing wrong with unicorns, but if you hear hoofbeats, chances are it's horses. So, the catch with this is the more layers of complexity we add, or layers of abstraction we add between us and the result, the more complicated the whole thing becomes. This we know to be true. So, let's talk about that. There are humans making tech for us, and whether it's an app, a program, a solution, an actual piece of hardware, or whatever have you, some human has come up with the idea, and they've put it together, and they figured it out, and they solved the problem. We love solving problems. That's what technology is about. It's solving problems. If it's not solving a problem for you, then it's not for you, and that's okay. But anyway, I'm getting off topic here. There are two types of people who create these: creators and capitalists. When I was younger, look, I'm still into video games, right? And I've been told many times in my life, well, you know what? You love video games. Why don't you make a video game, and then you can go out and make a whole, it'll make you a whole lot of money. Okay. Let's break that down, shall we? The two types of people who create are content creators and capitalists. Now, I'm not saying that there's not room for another category in here, but this is the two major ones. And I'm also going to disclaim, the disclaimer is, this is my views on the subject, and if you have other views, I am open to the conversation. I'm open to debate. I love open. This is a conversation. I mentioned that in episode 15 or in day 15. I really, really can't stress that enough. This is all about opening it up and talking about it. But content creators, it's a labor of love. They have something they're passionate about. They have something they can solve a problem on, or even just for entertainment. That's okay. You find a lot of this on TikTok. These are people who love what they talk about, love what they do. They're so into it, and they want to share it. Or the inventor who's always trying to find a solution. The tinkerer. They're awesome, but they're not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not for a second saying they don't want to get rich off of it. I'm not saying they don't want to profit off of it. Of course they want to profit off of it. Who wouldn't? But their proprietary goal is to solve the issue or to meet a need. Contrarily, capitalism is about making the money, and it's all about the monetization, right? At this point, you notice I'm not asking you, I'm asking you for your time. And for me, that's a significant investment because time is far more important than money. But it all comes down to, is this for money or is this a labor of love? Back to the video game example. The trick with video games, I don't care if they're big or small. I love the question and I will get to it. The trick with content creators is that they're really good at one particular thing, right? Video games are not typically made by one person. And usually if they start out as one person, they grow to a team pretty quickly. Why is this? Because we live in an era of specialization. There are all kinds of people and they all have their specialty. So video game requires level design, character creation, original intellectual property. You've got to create your characters, you've got to animate them, you've got to do this and that, and then you got to program it, make sure it all works, and then you need play testers, and then you need... This is not just needlessly complicating, this is something necessary. So that gets very interesting when you realize that, hey, could one person do this all? Yes, but not to a level that's going to impress people, right? So to the question, Sabrina's asking, do content creators need to be SEO experts to make sure you're seen and monetized? I'm coming to this. I promise I'm coming to this. Video games, books, anything that's made as a labor of love by a content creator usually winds up hitting a publisher. And this is where the video game industry goes so incredibly wrong. Well, not wrong, just not ideal. So what happens is you need a publisher. Why? Because you're not the SEO expert, you're not the monetization expert, you're not the marketing expert. And can you get a grassroots? Yes, but there are very few games that started off grassroots and became huge, stellar successes. Not to say there aren't. There are always exceptions to the rule, but the rule generally is that you need, just like a writer needs an agent. Some writers have done it without, and that's okay. Most writers need a publisher or an agent, or especially in the older, back about 15 years, you needed a publisher. Oh, SEO. So, sorry, this helps. Deb's asking, what is SEO? And SEO is search engine optimization. So how do you get seen, right? How do you get higher in Google? So there are people who specialize in just this. So you're creating your game or whatever it is, your book, your project, whatever, you're loving it. It's all consuming. And then you need to rely on somebody else. And they're going to go, but, then there's budgets involved and this and that. That's okay. There can be budgets involved in all of this. But you notice that it's no longer just, hey, why don't you create a game? Well, what part of the game am I creating? Am I creating the art direction, the intellectual property, the characters, the animation, the graphics, the marketing materials? It's a big job. It's a really big job. And then what happens in the general video game industry with the big games is you have publishers going, okay, and we're making the marketing material and you have to be ready for June 21st. Man, we just got the working prototype. We just finished programming the demo. Doesn't matter. It has to be ready for June 21st. Got to ship. We had a date. Got to ship. So then all of a sudden, these people who are making the game are under stress and all this pressure to get to this release date. And they're working, and I'm not kidding. Seriously, like 21-hour days. Let's go. Weeks at a time. Go. And it's craziness. And these publishers are slave drivers because they set an arbitrary date that now the developer, the people making the game, have to meet. That's a lot of stress. So these are the capitalist side, right? And content creators, project manager, all right. Content creators can do both sides. Content creators want to get monetized. They want to make a living off what they love to do. Nothing wrong with that. Yes. That's what I'm trying to do. So thank you for tuning in, by the way. But the fact is that you've got these two sides. Now, then you've got big companies. And some of them are better than others, granted. But you have, for example, Microsoft. I'm not dumping on Microsoft. I'm just saying they're a big company. They are about making their money. That is why you cannot go out and buy your copy of Microsoft Office anymore. You have to get an annual subscription. Is it possible to get a copy that you could? Yes. Can you pirate it? No, because they require you to activate it with them anyway. They require an activation key because too many people copied it. So they were getting robbed out of their sales. So that, well, we're going to change the model. So they're about making the money and then making sure that the product. But the problem with the capitalist end is they're trying to make one product fit a huge crowd of people. In business, I know I'm skipping around a bit, but don't worry. I promise it ties back. I promise it ties back. In business, you have two models: stack them high and sell them cheap. The original McDonald's, not McDonald's as it is today. The original McDonald's was stack them high and sell them cheap. Lemonade stand, it's only 25 cents. Why wouldn't you pay 25 cents? I have to sell a lot of lemonade to make my stand worth it, right? So I'm going for quantity. Other thing is, I could go out and I could say gourmet lemonade. My lemonade or my coffee costs what? 30 cents, including the cup, printed cup, 30 cents. What do they sell it for? $5, roundabout. Starbucks sells at a premium, right? They don't need to sell 600 cups a day. They probably do. They don't need to sell 1,000 cups a day. They need to sell 100 cups a day to break even. The fact that they sell more is good for them. That's just good business. They're making a quality product and selling at a premium. Or the shoemaker. You can go and buy the cheap pair at Yellow. Don't get me wrong, nothing wrong with Yellow. Go. If you want to get the cheap pair, get the cheap pair. It's fine, good. But when you get into the idea of I can go and see a shoemaker, have him make me a fantastic and fabulous pair of shoes, and it's going to cost me 300 bucks, 300 bucks, 400 bucks, whatever it is, but those shoes will last me for 10 years. And I am hard wearing on my shoes. Why? Because that shoemaker is going to use only the finest materials. He's going to stitch it by hand. He's going to do it, or even if he uses a machine, he knows what he's doing. He is an artisan. He is all about the quality. He is the content creator, or he's the creator type. He is the inventor, the tinkerer, the person who does it because they want to do it right. Versus a company that, and again, no fault to these companies, you as the consumer have the choice, right? You can go out and buy it cheap and have to replace it every 6 months, a year, whatever. And that's okay. It's your choice, right? Oh, I can get it cheaper at the dollar store. True. But if you're looking for quality, you go with the better part. So what this boils down to is when you look at something like Microsoft Office, it's made for the broadest possible audience. It's trying to be everything to everyone, and it's about the money. They're really about, we need to get as many subscribers, and we need to make this the standard. We need everybody to use it because that way we get more money. Versus the people who make, say, medical software, or even a lesser known service that says, yes, we will charge you $20 a month, but we're going to offer you the best we possibly can. Again, there are exceptions to the rule. Netflix is sort of an exception to the rule because they're not obscenely high priced, but they're not. But anyway. Technology engineering. Sabrina's saying, even in technology engineering, we should aim for a long-lasting option, but how do we recognize these? Ha ha! Thank you. Love the segue. I didn't send you my script, so you're like, wow, you're tuned in. I love this. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Okay. So, how do we recognize these? One way is through reviews. Smaller products don't tend to get the sheer volume of buyers, and that's okay. We can totally most of us go through recommendations through friends, just the same as restaurants. I don't want to go to a new restaurant down the street and, pay a lot for, maybe get a half-assed meal because, really, if I'm going to go there, I really want a good meal, or I certainly don't want to wind up feeling sick from it. So, you kind of, if a friend says, hey, this is really good, that's worth infinitely more than anything that arrives in your mailbox, your inbox, your, brochures or radio ads or whatever. A radio ad is very expensive and honestly doesn't convert very well. Whereas one person who tells 6 friends, if half of those 6 friends, they just got 3 new customers, and it costs them nothing except the good service and good food. So doing what you love versus, hey man, we just opened a new Arby's, 99-cent burgers all around. 99-cent burgers. I love me a good burger, but all right, I confess I like White Castle. I haven't had White Castle in a little while, but I'll consume me some White Castle. But stack 'em high, sell 'em cheap. That White Castle is the very definition of that. So in technology, what you wind up finding, especially with all these updates and whatnot, is you wind up finding the iterative model. So my earlier example of the game developers who sweat blood and tears for for the deadline, the game is going to ship, and the first, say, half of it has to be really, really good. The second part may have flaws. There may be kinks or flaws in the game or whatnot, and it's okay. We'll release a patch. We'll release an update. We got another month. As long as the game ships on the ship date, we can patch it up later. Well, that's the capitalist model, and people who do this, people who do what they do out of labor of love, tend to like to get it right the first time. And then there's people like me who have to just go out and do it. And it's not perfect. You guys have seen that. That's okay. But I hope you notice that we're getting better and better every episode. And this is iterative design. And with technology, we do have that option. In the case of more solid parts or hardware, you tend to notice that you get, oh, well, now we have version 2, or, okay, we're releasing a second, because you can't just, oh, hey, we're going to upgrade the motor in your camera. No, you need a new camera for that. Or we're going to add, new features in there. Yeah, you need a new camera. And I have to sell your old one and get a new one, or the new computer that comes out. And one thing about this whole iterative process, especially when it comes to the hardware part of it, please, and I will do more on this because this is really important. Evaluate carefully. We're going to talk about modularity and really evaluating new tech and kind of how to. I really want to do that as part of an interview. I'm talking to a few people to see how we can kind of come to that one. Deb actually has a wonderful comment here. Sadly, we're living in a generation where it is cheaper and easier to just buy a new printer than replace the ink. This is true. At least for inkjet printers. Again, buy them cheap. Oh, it's only $39 for the printer. 70 bucks for the cartridge. And the silly part is that you think, well, I just buy the new printer at $39, I'm getting a full cartridge. No, you're not. You're getting a half cartridge because they want to get you to buy the cartridges. Tip from a pro, and this is really, really my area of expertise because it involves print. Buy a laser. You don't waste any ink firing up or reloading, cleaning the heads every time you want to print once a week. They fire up really fast and they give really, really good results. And the cost per page is usually about a third or less of what it would be. I know my color laser printer at home is approximately 6 cents per page, 4 cents for black and white, 6.5 cents per page for color, versus versus an inkjet, which runs about 36 to 42 cents per page on average. So, sorry, I'm getting into the economics of printers. You know what? If you want more of that, please shoot me a comment or a question or whatever. We can actually get into that. Maybe we'll get into that. Maybe we'll do a whole episode on that. That could be kind of fun. All right. The point of humans making technology, mistakes will be made. They're not always yours. Things happen on the back end, especially when you're talking about cloud services like Google, Hotmail, any of the email services. A lot of this stuff or updates might, these are very, very complex things. They're really, some of these programs are very house of cards. They're very built on each other. And like, if you go to add a new card on, you could have that slip and knock another card and it causes a cascade effect. You fix one thing, another thing breaks. Like, seriously, I've seen it enough, and it's absolutely phenomenal to see how just like one little thing can, oh, well, we'll change it, because they don't rewrite the whole code, and there tends to be a lot of redundant code that's sat in the back. All this to say, if a program, an app, or a service that you're using suddenly, if it does something you don't expect because of something you did, don't panic. Stop. Think of what you just did. Did you not get the result you wanted because maybe you hit the wrong thing? Or if you're sure about what you did, maybe they changed something on their end. If you didn't do something specific and you got a result you weren't expecting, it's entirely possible it's not you. I mean, I've been going on for about 20 minutes now, and it really is. Mistakes happen, and technology is no exception, and technology isn't God. It really, really isn't. It's an extension of humans, and it does some things really well. Like, you know what? My phone is my alarm clock. Actually, my phone tracks my sleep cycles and is my alarm clock, and it does a damn good job of it, I have to say, better than any human I've ever seen. And I'm good with this. That's fine, but I don't expect my phone to cook me breakfast. I expect a human to do that. And just a note on this, by the way. Some of you have heard me rant about the electronic caches. I don't like them. Or the self-serve caches. I don't use them. I want to deal with a human. I want to deal with a bank teller. Not because I can't use the technology. Goodness knows if anybody can, I can. It's not hard. I really, like, it's so important that we use technology to augment our humanity, or to expand our humanity and connection, instead of trying to replace humans, or circumvent humans. I'm really not a fan of these self-serve caches. I want to deal with a person. I want to have that hello, that interaction, and it's not just a want. It's, you know what? That's important to me as a client. And if any of you who own stores are, wind up tuning into this later, or tuning in now, please take it on board. That's not a healthy route. It doesn't help any of us, and it's not beneficial to any of us, especially not you guys. Because if that's all you're offering me, I'll go shop elsewhere. I'll shop local. I'll find somebody who's willing to deal with me, human to human. That aside, thank you, Kush. Kush one, fantastic, love it. Yeah, sounds like the old one-on-one workshops. Thank you so much. That's really a high compliment. Really tying it all back. Whether God makes mistakes or not, I'm not going to get into the topic of God. I will get into the topic of tech a lot, and I will say tech is not God. It's made by humans. There are flaws. That's why I said at the bottom here, our topic today is to err as human. To really foul things up requires a computer. It's an old. I mean, that's been around since I was a kid, and there's a certain degree of truth to it, in that we kind of expect that everything is, AI is not perfect. It can learn within a very limited scope, and even then, it's not that. It does some cool things, but it often does things we don't expect in ways we don't necessarily like. And you know what? Maybe I'm definitely going to have to do a whole episode on AI, because it's a really hot topic, and I'll get into some of these foibles with you guys, because it's kind of funny. There's a few stories to be had there, and I'll back them up. So yeah, guys, all of you who tuned in, thank you so much. I love the support, and tomorrow's going to be day 20. I'm really trying to step this content up and really I'm trying to make this super relevant and super helpful. If there's something that you feel that I haven't covered, or a point of view, if you want to be on the show with me and talk tech, and you know what, whether it's hooking up a TV and home stereo system and kind of the thinking behind that, or I really want to get into the mindset. So guys, um, all is welcome. Let me put my email up so you can get to me easily enough. There we go. You can reach me at coaching@rstrother.com. I will be building the website very soon. So that's coming. Uh, Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope to see you again tomorrow at 6:45, because I'll be here. I hope you will too. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys then. Have a great evening, all.